Hey guys, Nick Espinosa, your Chief Security Fanatic here, and today it is Sunday, so we are doing Breaches of the Week. And before I start, I'd like to thank the following people for sending all of these in: Rebecca Rutherford, Chris Fowlon, David Walker, and Neville Goodhalls. Sorry if I'm screwing up your name, Neville, but guys, you are awesome. Thank you for this. And if you guys, anybody else out there has tips, please feel free to send them to me. And now we're going to dive right in. We're starting at Port St. Lucie in Florida. Now, there is an organization called Communities Connected for Kids, or CCK. They just discovered that an unauthorized individual has gained access to their databases containing protected health information of some staff members, children, patients, and their parents. Now, this breach was detected on March 15th, 2019. And they were told by their third-party vendor that there was some suspicious activity in their databases, which they've since cut off. Now, the investigation revealed that this started happening in August of 2018. So if you have anything to do with Communities Connected for Kids, or CCK, in Florida, heads up to you. Moving on, we are talking about Venmo. This is obviously the payment processing system that tons of people use. Users are being advised to set their accounts to private after a computer science student scraped 7 million Venmo transactions, basically proving that the public activity could be easily accessed. Now, this is according to NextWeb. Over a 6-month period, Minnesota State University computer science student Dan Sulman collected a data set which he exported from MongoDB of more than 7 million transactions, which he then published on GitHub. And I quote our student here: "I am releasing this data set in order to bring attention to Venmo users that all of this data is publicly available for anybody to grab without even an API key. There is some very valuable data here for an attacker conducting OSINT research." So if you use Venmo, set yourself to private. Anybody could go in and take a look at your transactions. Moving on, we're going to be talking about an organization called Talenton AI. Now, this is a recruitment company out of India, and they had an unsecured database of personal information, including phone numbers, salary expectations, and openness to job opportunities from about 1.6 million job seekers from around the world, including the United States, Australia, Japan, and several other companies. And this was research that was published this week. Now, if you use Talenton, heads up, your data might have been exposed. Moving on, we're heading to the United Kingdom. Now, there's an organization called Mermaids UK. They sent out an apology letter for inadvertently exposing the details of transgender children and young people. The data breach occurred after the organization published part of its email database on the internet, disclosed that over 1,000 pages of confidential emails were exposed online. This included sensitive details for all of their younger people, and this was information that was between 2016 and 2017 that included names, addresses, and telephone numbers of those reaching out to Mermaids UK for help. So if you have anything to do with Mermaids UK, heads up to you. Moving on, a computer science professor at Duke University wrote a letter of apology to the university's newspaper this past Thursday for deviating from conditions of a 2014 research project that ultimately placed images of 2,000 Duke students into a public database. Now, this database has since been removed, but this had over 2 million frames of video footage, basically looking at walkways and how people were moving around, and basically recording students for about 85 minutes on March 14th, 2014. Now, they've taken this down, but this information has been used by other outfits for various researches and other purposes. 2 other institutions that now have this data and are using it are Chinese military associated. They are the academies, the National University of Defense Technology and the Army Engineering University of People's Liberation Army. Now, they have this information and they're using it. So hopefully the next time this researcher does this kind of work, it will be more secure. Moving on, we're going to be talking about X Social Media. This is a social media marketing house, and researchers at VPN Mentors say they were able to get into X Social Media's databases and view the personal information of people who had clicked on ads for Facebook for legal advice or class action claims for things like botched surgeries, defective implants, etc., etc. Now, because of the nature nature of these campaigns, this business was gathering particularly sensitive information on these people, like names, addresses, phone numbers, partial medical histories, and they hit 150,000 people in this. So if you have clicked on a class action lawsuit or something along those lines for legal advice, you may have just been exposed by X Social Media, another organization that Facebook was letting scrape information out of them. Moving on, we're heading to Salina, Kansas. Now, the Salina Police Department and Saline County Sheriff's Office are assisting law enforcement investigators in Wichita, Hutchinson, and Texas. I'm assuming that's Texas, Kansas, possibly the state, with a case of bank fraud in which more than 50 cards or accounts at Sunflower Bank have been reported to be hacked or compromised. Now, as of about 5-6 days ago or so, 49 incidents were reported to Salina police in which the Saline County customers of Sunflower Bank had their debit card or account number used to purchase items or receive cash from a Sunflower Bank ATM. And this is according to the Salina Police Department. So if you use Sunflower Bank, heads up, they may have a data breach. You may be compromised. We'll see where this goes. Moving on, we're going to be talking about the Department of Human Services, DHS, in the state of Oregon. Now, they started notifying over 500,000 of their clients that their personal information was exposed to an unauthorized party in a data breach. Now, this incident occurred earlier this year, around January 8th, when 9 DHS employees fell for a phishing email that provided the attacker with access to their mailboxes. A password reset that was initiated about 20 days later actually stopped the attack because obviously the passwords reset on people, and the investigation confirmed that no malware was planted into the computer network. But if you have anything to do with the Department of Human Services in Oregon, heads up to you. Moving on, we're going to be talking about Vascepa, something like Vascepa. Now, this is a drug used for lowering triglycerides in adults that are on low-fat and low-cholesterol diets. Now, a Mongo database was left open on the internet without a password, and by doing so exposed personal information and prescription information for more than 78,000 U.S. patients. This database contained information on 391,649 prescriptions. Leaked information included patient data such as full names, addresses, cell phone numbers, email addresses, but also prescription information such as prescribing doctor, pharmacy information, and NPI number, National Provider Identifier, NAPB e-profile number, that's the National Association of Boards of Pharmacy, and more. So if you are on Vascepa, Vascepa, heads up to you. You may have just been exposed. Moving on, we're heading north into Canada. Canada's largest credit union, Desjardins, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, probably French, announced a security breach by a former employee. In a statement posted on its website, the bank said that a bank employee had taken data of 2.9 million members, 2.7 home million, and 173,000 businesses and associated contacts from its database without authorization. The bank said it has fired the employee after learning from the incident from Quebec police last week. So now I know it's Desjardins or whatever. It's definitely French. And this was on Friday, June 14th. No passwords or credit card numbers were exposed, according to the bank. So if you use Desjardins, sorry, I don't speak French, heads up to you. Moving on, we're going to be talking about the very popular file sharing app WeTransfer. Now, they just announced that for 2 days, they were sending its users shared files to the wrong people. Now, as this service is used to transfer, typically what is considered very private, compliant, sensitive, etc., this could be a very big issue. Users began receiving emails a few days ago from WeTransfer that started on June 16th and 17th that files sent using WeTransfer were also delivered to people they were not intended for. Now, the email goes on to say the team doesn't know what happened, and they are looking and working to contain the situation. So as of right now, we assume they're probably on it and fixing it if it hasn't been fixed. But if you use WeTransfer, you might want to stop for a while and switch to something else. Moving on, we're going to be talking about Dominion National, though they are an insurer and administrator of dental and vision benefits in the United States. On April 24th, 2019, they had an investigation of an internal alert with the assistance of a leading cybersecurity firm, they determined that an unauthorized party may have accessed some of their computer servers. The unauthorized access may have occurred as early as August 25th, 2010. So that's almost 9 years. Dominion National moved quickly to clean the affected servers, and they say they have no evidence that information was in fact accessed, acquired, or misused, although that is very hard to prove going back that long. This may include names, though, if of the exposed information, names in combination with addresses, email addresses, dates of birth, social security numbers, taxpayer identification numbers, bank account and routing numbers, member ID numbers, group numbers, and subscriber numbers. So if you have anything to do with Dominion National, heads up, you're probably affected by this. And finally, we're going to be talking about what could potentially be 1.4 billion data breaches on the planet, and probably not that many, but this speaks to a massive vulnerability by Apple. Now, Apple obviously has iPhone and iPad. The operating system on those is iOS, and a company out of Israel, Cellebrite, and they are very well known for iPhone hacking, has basically told the world that they have found a way to break into any iPhone or iPad running any version of iOS, including the latest one, as I am making this video today. Now, Cellebrite reveals that it can perform, and I quote, a full file system extraction on any iOS device. And obviously, Cellebrite is selling this service. This is what they do, typically to law enforcement and others. Cellebrite is the ones actually that it is believed that Cellebrite is the ones that hit the San Bernardino shooter's phone for the FBI. If you remember that, the FBI went to Apple and said, hey, please, crack this phone. Apple said no. Cellebrite was called in, and Cellebrite did it. So that is a very serious issue. And if you are one of the 1.4 billion iPhone or iPad users out there, heads up, there is now a vulnerability that Apple needs to quickly fix and address. Otherwise, Cellebrite can just walk right into your phone, and anybody that pays Cellebrite for that privilege can do the exact same thing. So I think that's pretty interesting. Now, that said, usually it's just law enforcement, but if you're trying to keep information private, not a good thing at all. And those are your breaches of the week. As always, there's just an absolute ton of them. And so Rebecca, Chris, David, and Neville, whose last name I cannot pronounce properly, I apologize again for that. Thank you so much. And if anyone else out there has a tip for breaches of the week, or you see something, please let me know. It helps me out tremendously. You'll get a shout out, and we're all in this together. So hopefully you guys weren't affected, although if you're an Apple user, you probably are. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.